The first thing I noticed about him was his shaggy, champagne-colored hair that reached down to his shoulders and how it contrasted against his dark brown skin. He smiled, looking at me with his sleepy eyes. "I'm Chas Dominguez," he said, extending his soft hand towards me. According to his file, the kid had lived a life filled to the brim with the worst of luck. Still, his sleepy eyes were cheerful and tender as he introduced himself. I already liked him. "I'm Mio," I replied enthusiastically. "Your new foster dad." I smiled wide, hoping to look welcoming. In our first month together, I learned that Chaz loved wearing tie-dye t-shirts, ripped pair of jeans, and John Lennon-inspired sunglasses. He was a huge fan of all things Michael Jackson, and each time he spoke, it was like a song, always ending on a pleasing note. His charming demeanor and whimsical charisma won over every person he met. I truly believed I had lucked out, because I had been told that teenagers were the hardest to foster. But my Chaz, he was grand. Chaz impressed his teachers at school with his encyclopedia-like knowledge, acing his first science project when he used a chemical reaction to turn water into wine. Since his grades were good, I allowed him to take an after-school job. He managed to get a job as a carpenter's helper, and with his salary, he made donations to the local homeless shelter. On weekends, he volunteered at the Humane Society. I mean, I really couldn't complain. The kid was pretty spectacular. One evening, as I passed by his room, I heard him and his best friend, Tia Kernst, giggling. I thought nothing of it until I smelled something familiar in the air. Slightly worried, I popped my head in the door. "Guys, everything alright?" I asked. I saw Chaz hiding something inside his mouth, not able to reply. Tia, also holding something in her mouth, turned pallid white. I knew what it was. "Guys, relax," I said, sighing and chuckling. "It's okay. It's legal in the state, but technically not for you guys, so just do it at home. No driving or going outside, okay?" Chaz and Tia immediately burst into laughter, releasing all the smoke from their mouths into the air. I laughed all the way to my room, where I reminisced about the days I used to get high with my friends back in high school myself. What a wonderful time the 60s had been. I was dozing off to sleep when I heard them again, this time in the kitchen. I assumed it was a classical case of the munchies, so I walked down the stairs to show them where all the goods were. As I walked towards the kitchen, I inadvertently overheard their conversation. "But have you actually spoken to him lately?" Tia asked Chaz. Chaz gloomily replied, "It's been at least a century since I spoke to him, but I think he knows where I am, or if he doesn't yet, he'll figure it out soon enough." I assumed they were acting a scene from a movie. Tia continued, "Well, if your plan goes through, you'll have to speak to him once more, and then you can live happily ever after, for eternity. Imagine that." "I just feel bad," Chaz replied, "about using Mio. This is the first time in my entire long life that I'll be using a human for my own selfish need." "Use me? For what?" I thought to myself, quietly standing behind the wall of the kitchen. "Oh, stop it," Tia replied, annoyed. "You're literally the most selfless soul in this universe. It's okay to take care of your own needs once in a lifetime." Feeling disappointed and slightly frightened, I silently walked back to my room. I tried not to think about the conversation I had overheard between Tia and Chaz, but soon enough, things started to crumble down for me. First, my car was vandalized. Then, my identity was stolen. But things got worse. By the end of the month, I had lost my job and had an awful case of pneumonia. At this point, I was starting to get worried as I had to take care of Jess's needs, not just mine. I searched and searched for a new job online, but received no replies. Worse, I could barely breathe as my pneumonia grew scarier and scarier, in spite of all the medication and medical visits. "It's all my fault," Chance sheepishly said to me one evening. I coughed into a napkin, some blood stained behind on it. "What do you mean? Of course it's not." "No, it is. It's my fault. I know who is doing all of this. It's my father. He's doing it to punish me," he replied, tightening his shoulders. "Okay?" I asked, puzzled. "Christmas is right around the corner. And on Christmas, we tell the truth," he began. "I picked you, Mio. I chose you because I knew what a good guy you've been your whole life. Attempting to foster a child is a clear example of your altruism. You're selfless, and I love that about you." I continued to listen. "You don't deserve all the misery that was befallen onto you. This is happening to you because he knows I am here with you, and I've tried to stop it. I've tried to help you, but he's stronger than I am. And I'm sorry, but I needed your help. You see, my father, he's a very controlling man," Chance said, looking down at his hands. I was completely lost, thinking the pneumonia was blocking me from making sense of everything he was telling me. Chance continued, "I don't think you'll believe me until you see it for yourself. I'm going to need you to come with me. Would you come with me, Mio?" I noticed his eyes glistening as they filled with tears. "Where?" I asked. "To see my father, the one who created me," he replied. Chance drove us out an hour away to a secluded beach where he walked me to the edge of the water. I assumed that he had set up a meeting at the beach with his father behind my back. At the point, the pneumonia was so severe that all I could say was yes to everything. "Chance, do you think on the way back we could stop at the pharmacy for—" Before I could finish my sentence, I noticed a man approaching us. This wasn't just any man. He was a giant. He was a brawny man, strong and powerful, with muscles protruding from his body like mountains in a valley. He wore a pair of unreasonably tight black swim trunks that highlighted everything. His massive legs looked like they could crush any creature with a single misstep. His thick skin was evenly bronzed and looked recently oiled. His hair, slightly wet from the ocean, shined and moved in the wind, like in a Pantene commercial. "Hello, father," I heard Chance say. I couldn't believe that Chance, the shaggy-haired, scrawny kid, had come from this colossal giant whose shadow in the sand was 3 times the size of mine. "Hello," he answered in a husky voice. "It's been a while, and I see you brought a friend." Feeling completely inadequate, I managed a wimpy, hi, before bending over as I coughed up a storm. His father barely acknowledged me. "So, you're going to pretend that you don't know Mio after everything you put him through?" Chance asked him. His father broke out in a loud and intimidating laughter, revealing perfect teeth. "So, you're gone looking for a new father? You don't remember what happened the last time you had a human father?" He laughed some more. I was a bit confused by his choice of words. "Mio, how long have you been his father?" His father suddenly asked me. "About 6 months," I said, trying to hold some more coughs I could feel building up inside me. "Oh, 6 months? Wow, because I have been doing this for thousands of years. And he's still a giant puzzle to me," his father replied, dismissing me with his hands. "No, okay," I answered, feigning laughter. "Let's not get sarcastic now. I've been with him for a little over 6 months. It's been going great. Now, I don't know how he ended up in foster care, and I'm not here to judge you, but..." "Judge me?" his father suddenly asked, sounding scorned. Of course you're not here to judge me. I'm the one who does all the judging. Wow, okay, I replied, getting annoyed. Listen, I think you need to drop it down a notch with your condescending attitude, sir. Once again, I don't know what issues you have. What issues I have? His father asked me, sarcastically. You don't know half of it, and I mean that literally. This son of mine created half a book worth of lies in my name. I don't follow, I replied. I looked over at Chaz, who was now rapidly blinking and forming beads of sweat over his forehead. There's a book about me. It's the highest selling book worldwide. You should read it sometime. But only the first part, his father added sarcastically, noticing I still had no idea what he was talking about. He sucked his teeth and said, You people are truly clueless. You don't get it? I made men and women and the skies and the oceans and the animals, the stars in the universe, and I even made your mom. I made everything, and all I've ever asked for in return was for you, Smarty Pan Creations, to use your God-given brains to worship and adore your creator. He paused, closing in on me. I am your father. I am everyone's father, because I am God. Okay, this guy's completely nuts, I thought to myself, laughing out loud, causing me to have another coughing fit. His father stared at me as I struggled to regain my composure, but before I could, he tapped me on his shoulder and said, Watch this. He placed his hands over my chest and shoved me down to the ground. Hey, I said, slowly getting up. There's no need to get violent. Violence only... I stopped in the middle of my sentence, noticing the immediate change that had occurred inside of me. The pain in my chest was gone. The scratchy feeling inside my throat, gone. The chills, gone. The pounding headache, gone. The pneumonia had disappeared. How did you? What did you? How is that? I asked, pointing at him, and then back at me, and then back at him again. I am God, remember? He repeated. I looked over at Chaz, who simply shrugged his shoulders and nodded. Now listen, here's what we're gonna do, God said. My son here will be coming with me, and I will spare your life and give you back your health, your car, your job, and whatever else I took because, quite frankly, I did get a little jealous watching you two canoodling. I'm not coming with you, Chaz finally said, breaking his silence. Wait, if he's God, and you're his son, does that make you... I asked, doing the math in my head. Chaz nodded. Yeah, about that. My name is Chaz, which, in Spanish is short for Jesus. I stood there in shock, remembering all the quirks I had noticed. His kindness, his empathy, his intelligence, his carpentry skills, his ability to turn water into wine. How didn't I see it before? Noticing my confusion, Chaz added, of Nazareth, for clarification. Still, I stood frozen, going through some sort of existential crisis. Oh, come on, God suddenly exclaimed. Are you serious? Now you're impressed? Now you're speechless? I literally just told you that I am God, and then cured your pneumonia. But it's this guy being Jesus what impresses you? No. I'm sorry. I couldn't figure out a way to explain my natural reaction. God slammed his enormous fist on the ground, making the sand vibrate beneath us. This is why I detest humans. They worship anything that slightly impresses them. Elvis, the internet, the Kardashians. I sent my son Jesus to spread my word. And then what do? They make up an entire religion based off from him, complete with the biggest holiday on earth included. Paganism everywhere. I was only trying to help, Jesus replied indignantly. I felt bad for Jesus. His father was clearly jealous of him. Oh, you were only trying to help, God repeated mockingly. Do you think it helped me when you claim all sins would be forgiven and absolved by me if humans simply repented? Do you think you helped me when you claimed that anyone could make it into the heavens, as long as they claim my name at their deathbed? No, you didn't help. You made all that stuff up and made mockery out of my regimen. You and your incompetent forgiving ways have gotten us nowhere. Jesus quickly replied, "What was I supposed to do? Was I supposed to allow you to continuously punish human souls for every tiny, small action that you consider a sin? This is my universe, and I am its God. Therefore, only I can decide what is a sin or not. Only I get to decide the difference between good and evil." Jesus looked over at me. "You know, you shouldn't worship God, not if you want to end up living inside a marble." He paused. "That's what he does. He keeps all these souls inside little marbles so that he can easily count them all and know exactly how many souls he owns. And inside the marbles, he gives them the illusions of what he considers to be eternal bliss, which is really just still Boston cream donuts and room temperature soda, along with reruns of Galilean's Island. That's heaven, according to him." "Oh my God," I answered, petrified. "Don't use my name in vain," God prettily replied, ignoring Jesus' accusation. "I'm so sorry," I immediately replied. "Don't say sorry to a murderer," Jesus provocatively said. "He had me tortured, men tore through my tendons, nerves, and wrists, nailing me to a wooden cross I had to carry myself. Do you know what it feels like to carry on your back, for miles, the device that will ultimately be used to murder you? The physical agony I endured was unforgivable. But worse than that, he made me carry the weight of all human souls on my back for hundreds of years. There is no bigger weight than that. You guys do sin a lot. The suffering I went through during that period of my life has left me with traumas that I struggle with today." God laughed. "I don't care. The truth is I stopped caring about you 2,000 years ago, when you began to spread false sermons and false messages about who I am and what they must do. Let me be clear with you. I do not forgive, ever. I do not care, ever. And I'll be honest, I feel no guilt about anything I've done because I am God. I have no remorse from the time I convinced Abraham to kill his children. I have no remorse for ordering the death of children in Egypt. I have no remorse for the time I suffocated and drowned all humans on earth, leaving only Noah and his family behind. So, to be completely clear, I have no remorse for what I've done to you. And do you know why?" Jesus' eyes filled with tears again. "Because I created it all. I am almighty. There is nothing greater than me. And whether you like it or not, I am still your father," God replied, his eyes bigger than ever. "Oh my God," I said, scared shitless. "You've used my name in vain again, Mio," God said, turning to me. "I'm so sorry, God. I really am. It's a habit of mine," I quickly replied, realizing what type of God I was facing. "Oh, for God's sakes," Jesus suddenly screamed. "Do you really care to insult this God? The reason he is collecting souls is because there are other gods in other universes, and they have this ridiculous competition going about who can collect the most souls in 1.3 billion years. There is no eternal bliss. It'll all be over in 1.3 billion years. Earth, humans, this universe. It'll all disappear and then he'll move on to something else. He always does." "Oh my God," I said again, idiotically not realizing I had used his name in vain again. "That's it. You quit using my name in vain for stupid human expressions," God suddenly screamed at me. "Yes, I am so sorry," I exclaimed, falling down to my knees, begging for mercy. God seemed pleased, seeing me on my knees. "No, get up." Jesus suddenly ran over to me, picking me up from the ground. "I will not allow this any longer. God, I denounce you as my father. That's why I came here in the first place. I came to tell you that you are no longer my father. Mio here, he is my real father. I no longer love you. I no longer adore you. I no longer worship you. I love Mio, a true good soul, and I am here to say goodbye. I had heard about God's fury before, but had never seen its true powers. Jesus' words to his Father clearly broke something inside of him. The last thing I remember was God exploding into a burning bright light. After that, the world around me disappeared as darkness set in. I felt an avalanche of fear installed inside of me, as if I had downloaded it directly into my soul. I felt hopeless, lonely, pain, heartbreak, tremendous suffering. I can't explain with words what it felt like, but I just wanted to disappear into the darkness and to never exist again. I cried out in agony, only to be surrounded by my echoing screams. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, I dozed off. When I woke up, a man sat beside my bedside, holding my hand. I didn't recognize him at first. He was slim with shaggy, champagne-colored hair that reached down to his elbows. "Remember me, Jesus of Nazareth?" He broke into that infectious smile of his. I felt safe again. "Where are we?" I asked him, noticing all the red furniture and red walls in the room. "Don't be scared," he said, pausing. "We are in a place called Heavensville, but don't be fooled by its name. It's not heaven. It's actually the headquarters for Hell's Inc. on Earth. We are in the home of Lucifer." "What?" I said, a rush of fear suddenly running through my body. "No," Jesus replied, noticing my reaction. "You can relax. It was on purpose. Let me explain. I've been trying to get here for thousands of years, even before my first arrival to Earth. But you can't just enter hell. You have to be cast into it by God. Only He decides who comes here. So I had to figure out a way to get here. And my friend, Tia, helped me come up with a plan of making my father jealous enough so that he will finally cast me into hell." "Tia? As in Tia Crinst, your best friend from school?" I asked, remembering the young teenage girl with the heavy black eyeliner. Jesus nodded. "Yes, Tia Crinst. You might know her better as her anagram name. She's the daughter of Lucifer. She's the Antichrist." I was feeling even worse by then. "Look, you have to understand, God has only used me. I only realized that after getting back from Earth the first time, and Tia was there for me, and we fell in love. But as much as I tried to convince my father to accept our relationship, he opposed it because he's a jealous God. He had always been jealous of his greatest creation, Lucifer. So, of course, I was not allowed to date his daughter, and of course, he gave her the title of Antichrist." I guess I can't judge you," I replied, sitting up. "God is very unpleasant." "Yes," Jesus replied. "I hope you can understand my choices. And as for you, there's no need to worry about getting back home. There's a portal here to Earth in the town hall. It's going through some technical difficulties right now, but they should have it up and running soon, and you'll get to go home." "What about you? Where will you go?" "Oh, well, Lucifer has been kind enough to give me an office and a home here in Heavensville. And, as it turns out, I have a lot of angel buddies of mine living here. God casts millions of angels to hell per year due to their insubordination. So we have a little heaven neighborhood within hell, filled with fallen angels. And I don't know, I feel like I can change some things around here. Some of the demons seem incorrigible, but others seem open-minded. Even Lucifer himself. He's not such a bad guy. I think there's a lot of room for improvement, and I think I'm just the guy for the job." "Wow," I replied. "That's a complete change of dynamic." I laughed. "Jesus of Nazareth, demon of Bethlehem." Jesus laughed hysterically. "I love that. I think I'm gonna use it." Someone knocked on the door, slowly cracking it open. "The portal is ready," said a figure with a human's body and a goat's head. "Time for him to go home."